Do you like science? Are you a high schooler? If you said no to both of those questions, then honestly, I have no idea why you clicked on my channel. But please stay. Hello, my name is Jenny, and I am a recent high school graduate from the University of Chicago Laboratory Schools, and next fall I will be a freshman at Harvard University. But before I go off and do all that and attend college, this summer I've been working in a neurological surgery lab at Northwestern University studying glioblastoma, which is a type of brain tumor. Hence the name of this channel, Tumor Tales. Working in a biology lab is interesting. You spend all day basically just moving things from bigger tubes into smaller tubes and from smaller tubes into bigger tubes. And yet, for some reason, I love it. Am I crazy? But I want you to love it too, or at least become mildly familiar with some of the practices. And hopefully you will learn what it is like to be a high school scientist.
A disclaimer. I know that technically I am no longer in high school, but until I start college, I will be retaining that title of high school scientist.
Every day, I walk from my house to take the train into downtown Chicago to get to Northwestern's Hospital and Medical Research campus. Honestly, one of my favorite things about working at a lab at Northwestern is the commute, because every day I get to walk through my personal favorite city in the world and take in the sights and sounds of urban life. Look at all those buildings, yes. And it's a beautiful walk when it's not raining, or humid, or too sunny, or, weather. Sometimes that sucks. Anyway, and yes, you do need a card, an ID card, to get in. Elevator ride, and another door. So today's Thursday when I'm filming this, and my lab is part of a kind of collaboration with other glioblastoma labs. Every Thursday morning, the labs attend a combined meeting to listen to some of the researchers present their work. And even though I'm unfamiliar with a lot of their research, today's presentation is one of our own lab members, and I actually helped with some of his experiments. So I feel like I know things now, however mistaken I may be. So after the lab meeting, we all head back down to the lab, and I start the way I usually do, with updating my notebook for the day. It's very organized. It's great. And then after that, I put my gloves on, and yes, I wear extra small gloves because I have short fingers. The first experiment that I checked on was a DNA gel for a PCR, polymerase chain reaction, to amplify DNA for my cloning project. And here we've got a lab bench set up for making Western blot gels. Yep. And here's me making said gels. And spoiler alert, we do a lot of pipetting in the lab. That's me pipetting right there. That's the result of all of my pipetting, lots of little tubes. I was actually aliquoting some reagent to be able to use to make Western blot gels because we were out. And now you see me here doing more pipetting, this time with a big pipette. Little ones are technically called pipette men, and there we go, let's speed that up a little bit. Honestly, you spend so much time working with pipettes. It's, in theory, a pretty simple tool to use, but it's so important to be able to get very precise amounts of reagents and cells or DNA or whatever you're using in your experiments, so it's really important to be able to use them properly. Now I'm going to take what I just mixed together to make Western blot gels over to the molds that I'm going to pour this into. Usually I do this all in the same place, but today there wasn't any space, so I had to move over. And now here, you're gonna see me do some more pipetting. That's exciting. And making Western blot gels is another procedure that is, in theory, quite simple, but in practice takes a lot of steps, and there are many opportunities to mess up. So I'm just trying my best. Oh, look, that's Jack. Hi, Jack. here I am checking on a Western blot gel for Jack, and this is where we and other lab members eat whenever we have time. Sometimes we make friends with people from other labs. It's really nice. In the lab, depending on your experiments, you can have hours of free time or not sit down the entire day. And within all the chaos, you just kind of have to find a time to eat lunch. Come back from lunch, check my DNA gel again, and so now I'm going to take it to image it. It's a nice trip down to the imaging machine. And there it is. This is correct. So the thing I'm looking for is that band right there. Now another trip with my DNA gel down to the end of the lab to use the UV light box. Look at that, it's very pretty. And I'm using this to be able to cut out the correct band so that I can see what I'm doing. I cut it while it was still in the UV box, and now I'm just taking out the gel and putting it into a microcentrifuge tube. Now the next step after doing this for cloning is to purify the DNA from the gel. There's a lot of ways to do this. The way I'm doing right now is just using a gel extraction kit from Qiagen, and it involves using first a heater to melt the gel kind of, and then you're going to use a centrifuge many times. You just follow the kit's instructions. It's nice and simple. And now here I am using the nano drop to check the concentration of my DNA, because that's important for the next steps of whatever I'm going to be using this for. Putting the kit back in the cabinet and putting the key back in the drawer. And I didn't film this, but I actually set up another PCR reaction. Once this comes out, we're going to be running another gel. And to do that, we have to weigh out some of this agarose, mix it with some water, microwave it, and then add some red gel dye, which is going to help you actually see your DNA and be able to image it and see it with UV light. Pour it into your prepared DNA gel mold and put in a comb. That's how you get the little lanes. Now I'm taking out my PCR products. And here I am setting up that DNA gel to be run, as in you put the gel in and then electricity runs through that liquid and pulls your DNA through the gel. And setting up the voltage. Now I'm going back to check on my Western blot gels. And now I have to image that Western blot that I looked at before that was already running through the gel. Here I am going to go image it. It's the same machine as before, just a different setting. And would you look at that? It looks terrible. Now, even though it's getting a little bit late in the day, I'm starting on a staining. And this staining actually takes 2 days because you have to leave primary antibody on overnight in the fridge. So that's why I'm wrapping it up in parafilm, and so that the antibody doesn't all evaporate. I actually had another slide that I had to look at under the microscope, so I did that too. Whew, and now here I am walking home, and I know I didn't show you leaving my lab or anything. That is because I was going to be late for my train. I have missed so many trains, let me tell you, because I thought I'd have time to do one more thing. Not this day though. This day I did not miss the train, because I am running. As you may have noticed, a lot of these lab procedures can take all day, and they're not necessarily very difficult, but they are time consuming and they take a lot of focus and concentration. And I'm not going to lie, I am absolutely exhausted, and I'm dragging my feet, trudging along home. I did a little twirl, and I'm just exhausted. But I'm happy. It's been a fulfilling day, and now I just get to go home and relax. If I can ever get this door open. Yeah, look at me struggle with that key. And then my dad opens it. Thanks, Dad. Welcome home. So, working in a lab is, interesting. Okay, no. Seriously. Yes, it's long hours, and yes, it's sometimes tedious, but honestly, it is some of the most rewarding and fulfilling work that you can do. There is honestly no better way of learning science, in my opinion, because all of the things that you learned in your biology class that seemed like so weird and irrelevant all of a sudden become very, very relevant and important for you to know. And honestly, I'm very lucky to have found a lab where I'm given so much responsibility, because trust me, that is a little bit rare. But I hope that wherever you go, should you choose to go into research after this, that you'll find a lab that's just as good or better. My name is Jenny, and on my channel I'll be doing more science videos to show you what it's like to be studying science, what it's like to be a student, all of those good things, to talk to you about my life. And so for you to see my face. But don't worry, if you don't like seeing my face, there's going to be plenty of science to distract you from it. So, please stay. So I would very much appreciate it if you subscribed, if you liked this video, then like it. If you shared this with your friends, that would be great. And I hope to see you again soon. But we'll see. Bye!